So just looking at your picture, red button on the left, is that the emergency stop button on your console?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not mains related, your emergency stop system.
Say that again?
Is it mains related, your emergency stop system?
The emergency stop system for this is the first product that we have and a number of products that are coming out to deliver what you're saying, is it killing the mains to the downstream drive racks?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The goal here is to reach a Category 3 rating with this console and the drive racks that we produce. So we want to be able to kill the input power to the drives, maintain a drive that has output power that can be dropped in and out. Okay, so this is just the first part of that puzzle. And then you have to, any winches that you have to design have to, the same thing. I don't know if I answered your question.
So I presume then you can't actually, with your e-stop, actually program in a ramp deacceleration down on it. It is either on or off on your e-stop.
What you're dealing with is the e-stop that's being developed for this will become an industry standard for us, where it's an acceptable, it will be a software-driven Category 3 e-stop system, which means that we can use our PLC to ramp it down, and then we can drop out that e-stop, and we'll get the rating that we want on the equipment. That's our goal.
Yeah, and which I think is a safer way of doing e-stops, as we all know, in that e-stop.
Yeah, we don't like that.
No. Obviously, we have European standards. VGB, I'm sure you've heard about it. Does this conform?
At this time, this console, we have to go through the process of getting it introduced into the European market for that purpose. So for us, it's not going to be sold into the European market until it does make that rating.
That is our goal to do that.
Yeah,
currently
we wouldn't take it in right now because we know it wouldn't be at that level. But that's our goal with this product.
When will that be achieved in Europe?
I don't know the answer to that.
Will it be in the next year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Next 6 months?
No. I think sooner than that. So you understand that we've got 3 of these in production 3 months ago. We're now at 15 working units. We've shipped 5 into Asia. Okay, so for us, and the additional production runs that we have for this year are not going to be part of anything that gets to that rating that's required in Europe.
And it's a limited market anyway.
Yes. Yeah. How many can you put out?
But definitely, with PRG's presence in Europe, we know that we have to comply to the standards. That's our goal.
Okay. The Q-Light system, how does that actually interface with another Q-Light system? Is that just simple connectors on the back of the board?
Yep, that's it.
That's all?
That's it.
So it's really a standalone bit that's bolted on the top?
Yep.
That won't affect its operation in any way?
The switching for the cameras onto the big display and things, does the unit come with the switches for switching the video signals, or is that a separate entity that you then control?
No,
it's in the back.
It's in the back. You plug the BNC camera. We have one set up.
So you can just plug in 5 or 6 BNCs and it does all the switching.
It'll take 4 inputs.
And trying to think of the best way of saying it, the software or the way that you write the script for tying this all together, is it timeline based? Is it an easy front end to write your own GUIs for it and things like this, or is it a very bespoke program?
The program as written offers the operator the ability to build their own cues without writing at code level, like anybody's console would be available, and so to move in and to say, well, what capabilities do they have? The ability to program velocity cues, time-based cues, auto-follow cues based off of time, or auto-follow cues based off of position or an event. And the queuing and the saving of the cues is typical, as you would expect for most consoles. You have to be able to back it up. You've got to be able to retrieve it. You've got to be able to put it onto another console easily.
So it's a bit like a lighting desk where there would be personalities for various motors that you're using and things like this, that you can say, I'm using this particular motor, and you can just call those up and then access their speeds and their timings and things.
Everything has to be coordinated in that way, because the front end system, to do offline visualization or offline programming, you have to input that information so that the winches are already selected for a car show or whatever, or the speed of the rotate's already laid in there. So those properties are available and configurable.
And if you're using standard motors from manufacturers and things, those personalities you have, so that somebody can just go, well, I've got one of those and 2 of those and 3 of those, without having to write down the real protocols for motor controls and things beforehand.
Most of the packages that we have are going to be specific motor drive combinations. Okay, so and everybody's at that point. You just don't go buy a motor and drop it in. It's got to match the amplifier and the motion controller that's downstream of these units.
Okay.
So the front end is talking to the motion controller and saying, hey, I know what type of motor you are. You're a 48 inch per second motor, and these are the parameters that are required on closed loop control to maintain a position.
Yeah. Thank you.
How much?
Well,
And don't say from me, okay?
we haven't offered this for sale yet. This is part of our rental fleet at the moment. We do want to bring this into the market to be sold. We have sold some consoles of a different style that we normally use, and they're in Japan and in Vegas and in Korea, actually. And we think this has better feature sets and everything else, so eventually we will tie this in to be a product for sale.
But you're not selling it to Yonkers or anything, right? Huh? You're not selling it to Yonkers or anything.
No, we're staying out of there. It's usually because it's part of an entire package. It's not a console that's going to be used with anybody else's products at this point. It can be customized to do that. But as a rental shop, we're interfacing it to gear that we have available to us.
So, in the programming, deacceleration and acceleration, is that done on percentages? Or can that be done on time? Can it be done on distances, or all three?
Answering that question, it's the acceleration and decelerations are based on time. So you specify, listen, I want a 4-second acceleration, I want a 6-second deceleration. I want to maintain either 50% speed, or I want to finish this cue in an accumulated time of 15 seconds. So you can program in your XL, your steady state, and your decel as a function of time, okay? Or you can do it as a function of, I want to reach my acceleration rate, I want to get to 50%, and then I want to decelerate down in however many seconds and stop. Now, that as you might understand, would be whether you can reach that speed in the distance that you've programmed. But it will calculate, okay, this is what you can really do it in. You can program it at 50%. It's going to say, hey, you're only going to reach 29%.
Okay, so in pretty much you can't do it in distance traveled at all.
Well, we enter in a target. We enter in accelerate, decelerate, and velocity or time. It will figure out what the overall velocity should be based off of that. But for example, you have 2 effects coming on stage and 1 flying in. You want them all to come in 15.5 seconds. So you program each effect, you know what its distance is to its target, okay? And you program in, you can add there could be different accelerations and decelerations for each effect. So now all 3 of those effects are cued to achieve their position in 15 seconds. And you hit the button and they will all together and stop in that 15 or whatever second time frame you want. And if you program in a speed that's too big, or like you got too great of a distance and the winch says I'm a 50 inch per second winch, it tells you, listen, you can't go faster than 50 inches because that's the maximum speed of the winch. I mean, it's all standard stuff that you see available, so we're hoping we didn't miss anything.